Hey guys, so in this video we're going to talk about our nap training portion of sleep training. So if you haven't seen, check out my video I did for how you know you're ready to start sleep training. Because it's quite the ride that it takes you on, quite frankly. And I'm doing separate videos for our sleep training through the night and for naps. Just because the videos will get way too long if I talk about both. So today we're going to talk about naps. Now, I take notes so that you can look back and see what's working for you and what's not working for you, because I promise you, with anything, whether it's potty training, sleep training, anything you're trying to implement or change, the days are going to start to blur together and you won't remember exactly what happened when, or what was working well or what wasn't working for that matter. So the main reason why I'm keeping these notes, obviously I want to see the progression get better each day, but I'm also trying to find the magic window for nap time. My son Colton is 4.5 months old. This is day 3 of our sleep training, nap training. Well, I guess it's night 3, so we completed day 2. So I'm going to talk about the naps for day 1 and day 2. And this just is going to help me find that magic window where he goes to sleep quite easily and he's not overtired, but he's tired enough. And, you know, I'm just trying to do all I can to help this little guy. So let's get into it here. So for nap training on day 1, so he woke up just after 7 o'clock in the morning that morning. Or it was right at 7 o'clock in the morning. So he had a full feed. His first nap was at 8:46. By 8:56, it looked like he was asleep. And then by 9:01, he was doing his sleep cry. So, you know, he's shaking his head a little bit. He's laying there. It looks like he's asleep. He cries out for a few seconds. He looks like he's sleeping for, you know, whatever, 30 seconds or so. He cries out for on and off like that. Until 9:09, and then he was asleep. And at 9:34, he woke up. So the first 2 naps of this day got a little bit shaky with the wake up. You're supposed to give them about 10 minutes to try to get themselves back to sleep. I did recently read the Sleep Sense program, and that's what I'm loosely following right now, and just tweaking wherever I need to fit our family. So you're supposed to give him about 10 minutes or so to fall back asleep. So after 10 minutes, it appeared like he may be going back to sleep, because obviously half an hour is not a long enough nap for him. So he's shaking his head, and it kind of looks like he's going to go back to sleep, and it kind of doesn't, and then he gets revved up and starts crying again. Anyways, we ended up leaving him for almost a half an hour, and then finally I had had enough and said, okay, he's definitely not getting back to sleep. He's getting angry up there. So we went and got him. He was very angry, and it took, you know, probably 10 minutes for me to calm him down. And he was sobbing and red-eyed. I mean, he was crying a lot. And he hadn't had enough sleep, really. Half an hour is not enough. But a half an hour morning nap was very typical of him around the 3-month mark, when his sleep started to change. So it's not, you know, it's not great, but it's not out of the ordinary for him. He was up for an hour, 45 minutes before I laid him down for that nap. It took him 23 minutes in total to get to sleep. And then he slept for 25 minutes. Not awesome. Nap number 2 was 11:33, laid him down, and he was not upset. He was talking and babbling to himself and just looking around his room for 4 minutes. Then he started to cry. By 11:50, I thought he was asleep. And then 11:52, he popped his little head back over and was doing his cry, sleep, where he's just falling to sleep, really. By 11:58, he was asleep, and he woke up at 12:20. And then again, I waited, and after about 10 minutes, it looked like he was going to go back to sleep. So, we gave him another 10 minutes to try to get there, and he just got himself all worked up again. And again, he was very angry after this nap. He didn't look rested at all. He was crying, he was sobbing a little bit again. So I went back to the book and was reading, and you get access to some videos when you do purchase the book too. I just purchased her basic program, and the naps, they're just tricky. Okay, it's a totally different animal. So I decided right then and there that until his sleeping improves more on the nighttime side, I'm just gonna go get him after his naps. He's clearly not putting himself back to sleep, and he's getting himself very upset. And that's upsetting to see. And I don't want him to not like naps, quite frankly. Like, you know, who doesn't love naps? They're awesome. So I'm not leaving him to cry yet. Until I'm more confident at his skills in getting himself back to sleep, I'm just gonna go pick him up after his naps. So he was up for 2 hours this time. It took him 25 minutes to get to sleep, and he slept for 22 minutes. Not awesome, but better than in my arms. So nap number 3, I laid him down at 2:50, and he lasted about a minute before he started crying. At 2:57, I thought he was sleeping. It was a miracle. And then at 3:01, he popped up and was crying. And then 3:02, he was asleep again. And then at 3:19, he was awake and crying. And then at 3:29, after 10 minutes of him just crying, he was revving himself up again. And I could tell from his cry, it was more of a sobbing cry. It wasn't like a frustrated cry like I talked about in the nighttime videos, where there's not a lot of tears and he's just frustrated. He's sobbing and there's tears. So I went and picked him up, and I did what they tell you not to do. I didn't nurse him to sleep, but I went and got the stroller and I put him in and I took him for a little walk, and then he slept from 4:14 to 4:43. Now, before you judge me, let me tell you why I did this. I could see a sleep disaster happening here. If he didn't get that last nap in, and I let him just stay awake at 3:20, then at like 5 o'clock, he's gonna wanna have a nap. And the whole process seems to be taking about an hour by the time he falls asleep and then sleeps for an hour, and now he's gonna be waking up at 6 o'clock. We have a pretty good bedtime, and the night isn't so bad. We need more help during the day, so I don't want to mess with the night. So I did this to avoid an overtired baby. I don't want to go down that road ever. I don't want him to be so wound up that he can't get to sleep, or it's very hard for him to get to sleep and he's waking up more often. I was hoping that within the first 48 to 72 hours, that things would go smoothly as far as putting him in his crib and going to sleep. I didn't want to have to resort to any other tools, such as taking him for a drive or taking him for a walk. But, you know, you do what you got to do, right? I didn't want a sleep disaster, and I didn't have a sleep disaster that evening. He went to bed a little easier than he did the evening before. So that nap is kind of hard to judge, but you know, he was up for 2.5 hours that time. So that could have been the problem right there. It's the most time he's ever been awake in between naps. And at 4 months old, or 4.5 months old, it's around the 2-hour mark. Some kids are an hour and a half, some kids are 2.5 to maybe even 3 hours. But because my son only gets half an hour naps, he really can't do much more than 2 hours. So here I must have missed his cues, lost track of time a little bit maybe. You know, that happens easily with another toddler, trying to balance both. I do have my husband home right now and he has loads of help, but you know, stuff happens, right? So it was 2.5 hours between that nap, 12 minutes to sleep, 15-minute nap, not awesome. So I threw him in the stroller, we went for a walk, and we finished off that day great. For me, as long as he's awake by 5 o'clock, then I can put him down again at 6:40 and he goes to bed okay. It doesn't take him an extremely long time to go to sleep. So on day 2 for naps, he woke up at 7:11 a.m. and I nursed him for about 25 minutes. which is great. This is also sleep training him at night and cutting out all the night feedings. It's totally redoing our schedule, which is helping him sleep better. Previously, I would have fed him a few times throughout the night, and mostly in the wee hours of the morning. So by the time he wakes up, he's not really hungry. You know, he'd wake up happy and laughing, and, you know, I can pull him out of his crib and play with him a little bit while we get him changed and dressed and bring him downstairs, and I can put him down with his little ring that hangs, and, you know, go make myself a coffee or a lemon water or whatever I'm after that morning, and come back to him and then feed him a little bit later, and he's still only snacking. It throws off our whole schedule. So this is really great at helping us stay on schedule, because he has a full feed in the morning, and that pulls him through until after his first nap. So he was awake at 7:11, and at 8:53 I laid him down. 9:04 to 9:11 he did a sleep cry, falling asleep, and at 9:12 he was asleep, and then at 9:28 he was awake. So he cried for a few minutes, and then we just went in and picked him up. So he was up for an hour and 42 minutes. It was 19 minutes to go to sleep, and he had a 16-minute nap. That's not a very successful nap, but again, it's progress from him falling asleep in my arms. He's falling asleep in his crib. So nap number 2, I put him down at 10:49, and he laid down crying. At 11:04, my husband went in to comfort him. He finds a lot more comfort from my husband, or just gets the message quicker. This is noted in the book that if you send your significant other in, especially if you're nursing, then they know right away that there's no chance of getting a boob from dad, right? So it calms him down a little quicker and lessens the crying, I believe, because the first few times I went in, totally pissed him off. So dad went in at 11:04, and by 11:11 he was doing his sleep cry, and 11:14 he was sleeping. And 11:44 he woke up. Finally hit his half an hour nap. So for that one, he was up for an hour and 21 minutes. He spent 25 minutes until he was fully asleep, and he had a 30-minute nap. Not great, but getting better. So nap number 3, I laid him down at 1:40 p.m. He laid there for 5 minutes before he started crying. And at 1:56, I thought he was asleep. Oh no, 1:56, he was asleep. That was amazing. And he slept until 2:24. So I didn't write down a summary for that nap, so let's do this. So he woke up at 11:44, let's just say 11:40, and it was 1:40, so that was 2 hours in between. It took him 16 minutes to get to sleep, and he slept for 28 minutes. So that's, as far as I'm concerned right now, that's a successful nap. But that nap wasn't easy. I wrote a note here. He was really odd at this time. He was showing me signs that he was tired an hour after he had woken up from his other nap. And I was just like, well, if I lay him down now, like, is he gonna cry for an hour? He's never went down for a nap so quickly after waking up for a nap, you know? I was really confused. So I nursed him a little bit and changed his bum, and he seemed to perk up a little bit. And, you know, he was rubbing his eyes a little bit, but he was really playful too, and he wasn't cranky. And I was like, well, he should be going down for a nap now. It's been about 2 hours, but he seems kind of awake. Has he got his second wind? And it just felt horrible because I couldn't, I was doubting myself. And, you know, sleep training, it's full of doubt. And that is just another good reason to take notes, because you'll see what's working and what's not. Don't rely on this mommy brain of yours that is still very foggy to remember everything that's going on through this process. Take notes. So nap number 4, my foot is falling asleep here. I laid him down at 3:53, And he was crying and he was very angry. 4:11, sleep, cry, sleep, cry, sleep, cry. 4:21, he was asleep. 4:42, he was awake and very upset. He was sobbing and teary-eyed, and it took me about 5 minutes to calm him down, and I gave him a bit of a boob too to help calm him down, because that's what he uses to soothe himself. So that nap summary, let's see, he woke up at 2:24 and he was down at 3:53, so it was about an hour and a half in between those naps. It took him 18 or 28 minutes to get to sleep, and he only slept for 21 minutes. So not great, but he definitely needed that last little nap in there to get him to bedtime, or he never would have made it. So that's it for day 2. So waking up there at 4:42, he did go down at 6:40 this evening. So if you are sleep training right now or thinking about sleep training, be sure to check out some of my other videos on night training, because it is a whole package deal. You can't do one without the other. You need to set it straight for your baby and for you too. You deserve a break during the day from your baby. You deserve a full sleep at night, and your baby deserves a full night's sleep and a good deep rest during the night and during the day. They're growing so much and learning so much, and for them to keep developing in a great positive way, they really need good sleep. Everybody in your family needs good sleep, and if there's a baby in your house that is not sleeping well, then nobody is sleeping well. Well, my 2-year-old, she still sleeps pretty well. She doesn't really hear him, but you know what I'm saying. So be sure to check out those other videos, and stay tuned for some more, because we just be getting started with this nap training. Thanks, guys.